Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show here on Main Street TV, where we have a very special and informative guest here in the studio today, and that is Miss Sheri Bradford. And
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you.
We're so
Hello.
happy to have you here because you and I were talking off the air about some things that I think are going to be very, very helpful for our viewers today. And maybe somebody that's struggling with addiction or whatever. And you're here to help them.
Right, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here to talk about the program.
Absolutely. So first off, tell us a little bit about where you work and where you're located, and then we'll get into the, what all you do, because it's fascinating.
Okay, I work at Rural Women's Recovery Program. It's located in Athens, Ohio. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it's like a log cabin, which a lot of people like.
Oh, that'd
It's
be
on the top
great.
of a hill, yeah. So it's more like a house, like a lot of the groups are in the living room, so a lot of people do like that. But yeah, we could take from anywhere in Ohio, though. But yeah, so it's a 45 to 60 day inpatient program for women 17 years and older. We're dual diagnosis. We can work with mild to moderate mental health.
Okay. And inpatient.
Yes, correct. Yes,
So-
they stay there.
All right. So who, I guess let's start off by asking, who's an ideal candidate for your program?
Honestly, anybody can be. Like I said, 17 years and older. We can do self-referred or court-ordered. So anybody can just call in and say, hey, I'm interested in the program, and go ahead and do a screen, which takes about 30 minutes. We do a clinical screen and then a nursing screen, have the team look at it and let them know if there's any follow-up. But yeah, it could be self-referred. Sometimes POs will call, family will call. But yeah, anyone.
So this is, so you do kind of a group effort thing where it could be mental health issues, it could be alcohol addiction, it could be drug addiction, it could be several different things.
Correct, yeah. We can do mild to moderate mental health. There does have to be more prominent substance use criteria.
Which they go
like-
hand in hand a lot of
Right.
times, right?
Yes, but yes, we look at all of that, all of the above.
Okay. And that just seems like a double whammy of people when they're struggling with mental health. They a lot of times get into addiction, and so you're having to treat both of those at the same time. That
Right, yeah, I
seems
think it's very important. A lot of places, not a lot of resources with the dual diagnosis piece.
right.
Yeah.
Right. What makes where you work special?
I think the fact that we have a lot of staff that have been there 20 plus years or even 10 to 20 plus years.
Now that's saying
There's-
something.
Yeah, a lot of the staff that are there for long term.
And that means two things to me. Number one, you have a very experienced staff, but also number two, they must really enjoy what they do or they wouldn't be there so long.
Right, and we get along and support each other as a team. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a very good program.
Very good. All right, so ideal candidate would be anyone, a female, 17 or older, who's struggling with addiction or mental health with addiction issues. Okay, so let's talk about, the treatment in general. Like, what could somebody expect when you said that you can actually come and assess people or do it via email or whatever? So what's the first step?
Okay, they can call in, and first of all, I answer questions because a lot of times there's questions. And then usually if somebody
So
calls
there's a
in,
lot of questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. Can I have a cell phone? Can I smoke? Can I have visits and stuff like that? Yeah, so we could go ahead and address now.
I was going to say, well, what are the frequently asked
Okay.
questions that you receive?
So unfortunately, you don't have your cell phone while you're there. You can bring it in case we need to look up numbers or look something up, but you do make phone calls with your counselor. You get 15-minute phone calls and then virtual phone calls. So you do get phone calls, and then smoking, that's a very important one. We do allow scheduled smoke breaks. They get 4 smoke breaks a day.
Okay.
They have to bring money to purchase the cigarettes at the facility. If they don't have money, then they get 1 per break instead of 2 because they're donated.
Okay.
And we could work on doing several drop-offs because it's a lot of money to come up with all at once for a 45 to 60-day program. So
Sure.
we could work with on that also.
Okay.
Visits, we don't do adult visits, but there's also male. They can, write each other. But we do visits with children 12 and under.
Okay.
Set
So
up
like if you have
visits.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not cool to keep the kids away from mom
Right.
or whomever.
And then we can also look at them bringing children 3 and under with them to treatment.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you guys just think of everything.
So we got a little play area, and that's a good time to bring up the website, so because there's pictures like of the play area and whatnot. And
Okay.
it is rwrpathens.wordpress.com.
Okay.
And if you get on there, there's actually the screens, how to apply, the 2 screens you can download, but also there's pictures about the program. And there's also a Facebook page that has pictures about the program when there's open beds, and that is RWRP Treatment Center on
Okay.
Facebook.
Very good. So you have any number of ways to reach you. And you brought this up off the air too, that a lot of times people just don't, I don't know what the lack of word is, but don't have guts to call.
Right.
Like sometimes reaching out, text or email or whatever is a good first step.
Which I have an agency cell. They can call or text, and it's 740-707-2052.
Okay.
If you want to text and ask questions, because sometimes that's easier for people.
It is.
Or they might have people around them that they don't want to talk at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That's right. And you were talking about off the air. We talked a lot off the air about even going to like the regional jails and being able to assess people there. That's an interesting.
Yeah, family
Thing
or
that you
somebody
can do.
calls. Sorry. Yeah, I can go to
Yeah.
the Southeast Ohio Regional Jail and do a screen during the week. I could just pop in there and do a screen with the women. If like POs or lawyers, anybody just wants me to call, or the client might call family and say, hey, I want to get screened at RWRP, they can just let me know and I can run over there.
So would the screening be to see if they're a good candidate or to see what they're up to, or what would the screening actually be for?
See if a good candidate.
Okay.
Just doing the regular screening I do for anyone else that would call in, just to see if there's, we might need like medical records or mental health records if they've like been a recent mental health inpatient. Might just have questions, like further questions on maybe a charge or something, or their
Okay.
use, like
What they're up to.
right.
Because you kind of need to know that, right?
Right, if they need detox, and that's another piece. So we don't have detox, but we work with one about 10 minutes away that will take them for detox and then let them come to us. I mean, they could go to any detox, but we have one close that will work with us
Okay.
if needed.
Because, and I'm just guessing here, that detox has to be, it's very important to be done properly, correct? Because
Yes.
it's a medical
Right,
situation.
that's why we can't do it there, because it's very important. So I'll let them know, like nursing, when they arrive, we'll do a rapid. If they test for alcohol, benzos like Xanax, or opiates like heroin, fentanyl, that we cannot keep them just because can be a very serious medical thing, so they'd have to go to detox.
Okay, so what happens there, and then how do you end up back to you?
Well, we had somebody that came in and they did test positive, so we worked with this place 10 minutes away, took them there. Usually they have open beds. Like I said, they don't have to go to that detox. They can go whatever detox, but then they
Okay.
just came back when they were done with detox.
Okay. And do you know, like, what happens there? I mean, I assume that they just help you medically get to clean yourself out, right? Like
Yeah, I
clean-
think comfort meds, and it depends on the detox. Some will keep them 3 to 5. This one keeps them usually 7 days.
Okay.
But yeah, they work with them on comfort meds too to get through that
Because
and come to our program.
it is a physical situation.
right.
It's a lot. Okay, and then they'll come back to you and let the healing begin, we hope, right? So when someone comes to you and enters your program, what would they expect to happen?
Like right off the bat when they come in.
Yeah, the whole thing,
Intake,
yeah.
We'll start
Yeah.
with intake. So
Yeah.
they come in, they take off their shoes and stuff. So we have a strict bed bug protocol, just because we learned about it like 12 years ago.
Because you
Yeah.
don't want to mess around with
Yeah,
that.
12 years
for
ago,
sure.
that was a nightmare. So we
Yeah.
just have strict bed bug protocol. We leave everything outside and it's processed. But so they'll come in and see the nurse, and nursing will check their hair and their temperature and do the rapid urine screen.
Okay.
And then they take a quick shower and then I do paperwork with them for about 30 minutes, a lot of releases and just consent to treatment and stuff. They'll do an assessment with the counselor and at some point meet with the doctor, which might be that day or the next day, but that's kind of the gist of the intake process.
Okay.
As far as like the day, They get up, and optional if they go to breakfast or not, but they have to be in group during the week at 8:15 for morning meditation. And then there's groups throughout the day. There's like, we're trauma informed, so there's like trauma in the brain, silencing shame, relapse prevention, but they also do some arts and crafts groups. So there's some serious groups and some fun groups, like watch a recovery related movie. They do a couple couch recovery virtual meetings during the week.
Okay.
On Sundays, there's an optional church virtual meeting. So it's just a variety of different meetings, but they also have downtime, and they can nap during downtime. I know some programs, I guess you can't go back to your room, or you have to stay out of your room the whole day, but you can go back to your room, you can nap, you could snack throughout the day. I know the food thing's important too. We have a cook that's there Monday through Thursday and makes really good meals. I'll make like muffins or broccoli salad or 7-layer salad. Like yesterday was brisket. For the holidays,
Nice.
They go all out. Yeah, like they
That's
got a bunch of Christmas
awesome.
presents and made a big dinner for like the holidays. The clients
Aw.
do. But yeah, so then there's the snacks and whatnot. They try to do outings. What's nice out, they might like go swimming, or they might go
Okay.
to the bike path, or go get coffee, or they've been doing like there's some craft programs I think in Nelsonville where they go make a sun catcher or wreath or something like that. So they do try to get them out of the house so they don't get that cabin fever too much.
Sure. Literally cabin
Right,
fever,
right,
because you
yeah.
are in a cabin.
Right. So they can get that cabin fever. But yeah, so like the holidays, they do all that too, though. They do go out and make food, and they got a lot of Christmas stuff and seem to be happy with what they got.
That's awesome. And about how long does the program last? What did you say?
It's 45 to 60 days. It's
Okay.
usually around that. Now, so we also work with them if they want to go into sober living or transitional. And if they maybe need like an extra 2 weeks, they work with them and like till they can get a bed at like sober living, they can work with them on that.
Okay.
So
And are there facilities like that around this area?
yeah, there's Serene Grove in Athens, Groundworks in MacArthur, Field of Hope in Vinton. But where we work with anywhere in Ohio, we can do the same. Like they might want to go back home, or they might not want to go back home because of people, places, things. So yeah, we can work with any of them.
So, yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Sometimes going back home is the worst thing that you can possibly
Right.
do, because what you need to do is stay away from the people that you hung out with, that you
Right.
did these things with. How does that work?
Sometimes it doesn't, and they call and they're like, "I need to come back." But it also depends on like the legal involvement. Like some POs might not allow it. It's
Like, you have to come back here so I can keep my eye on
right.
you.
So the PO, or they might not want them to come back. So
I got ya.
The PO also has a recommendation, or the lawyer, or the diversion program. So they have to also go by that too. But sometimes if they don't have that, they might be like, "I'm just going home," and then they do sometimes call and say, "That wasn't a good idea. It didn't work out." You know what I mean?
I
Sometimes
ran into Susie at the
Right.
Walmart, and it
Right.
didn't end well. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Add to that, we have some that come back a couple times too. Sometimes it takes a couple times to get it.
And in talking with some folks that I know that are in healthcare and doing kind of what you do, they've mentioned that to me, that it's nothing for somebody to come back three times, maybe
Right.
4 before it sticks.
And sometimes it doesn't, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
we've had some that will call and I can't get a hold of, or they go back and forth, and then eventually they do come and doing great now. I'll
Good.
be like, "Remember when you were just playing games? I couldn't get a hold of you, and you were just going back and forth, and now look at you."
Yeah.
And be off probation, have their kids back, and so there is success
Oh, my
stories,
goodness.
and they'll sometimes call and check in, or want to come and do a lead, or let us know. Or I try to, if they did complete the program after 60 days, reach out to them and see how they're doing. And there are quite a few that say, still doing good. Usually, if they're not, they probably won't answer when I call.
Yeah, they kind of tell on themselves, don't they? Or
Right.
don't tell on themselves.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure if they have something good to tell you, they're certainly going to answer the phone.
Right. Or they call in just to say, "Hey, I'm doing good." I've had people call that were like, "I was there 10, 15 years ago." It doesn't happen a lot, but I had someone that did call and was there a long time ago.
That has to
Yeah.
be so rewarding.
Right, it is, because it's not always success stories, but yeah.
So how did you get into this field personally?
Honestly, I needed medical insurance, and I knew somebody that worked there. I never even knew about the program because that was 21 years ago.
A few
But-
years ago, that's
Yeah.
what we like to say here.
Right, but she just got me an interview, and the rest is history, I guess.
And you just loved it, right?
Yeah, just ended up staying there, yeah.
Man, no, that does have to be so rewarding. So, what do you say to people out there and that say this isn't really there? We don't have a problem here in our area or in Ohio or nationally with drugs or mental health or whatever, because you know there are those people out there that say
Right.
that, and or well, who cares about them? Just let them whatever.
Right. And there, I mean, I think it's everywhere and it is a disease. And, sometimes they'll try, but the brain tricks them into like those old behaviors. And there's a lot more to it than that's just like it's their choice to use. And
Right.
yeah,
And if you have a heart problem, you don't just try to take care of it yourself, right?
right. Get help.
You don't know how to.
You might try, and sometimes people can do it that way, doing meetings and stuff, but sometimes they need the help.
It's tough.
It is, but they got to want the help too. I mean, well, sometimes they are forced by legal involvement and it does work out, but a lot of times they got to want it.
Yeah. And how have you seen people? That's what I was just thinking. Like, do you have somebody that comes in? I'm sure you have. That wasn't for real the first time or two, and then they decided.
Oh, yeah. Do you think they're not going to make it? But they do, yeah. And sometimes they'll fake it till you make it, as they say.
Okay.
But then, yeah, they do really well. Oh, yeah, that definitely happens.
That's
They weren't
interesting.
ready, and maybe they are now. Maybe there's motivation, like to get their kids back, or just for themselves, or just hit rock bottom and just tired of that life. But yeah, it happens.
That's interesting. You mentioned when we were talking earlier about trafficking, and I feel like human trafficking is something that you see in movies or you hear about on the news, but doesn't really happen in our area. But you said, oh, yes, it does.
Yeah.
And it's something that's obviously very traumatic that these ladies need to deal with.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about the trauma-informed care where we do groups like
Yeah.
that, silencing shame, trauma in the brain, and how we have had people come in there that have been trafficked. And I do get phone calls, hey, she's been trafficked. It probably happens more than you realize, but they need that support and stuff. And
What exactly does that mean? Is it basically the women fall under the thumb of somebody that they how does it happen?
I think they get manipulated part of the time, to be honest.
Sure.
Or they might be getting them drugs or stuff to keep them, I want to say under control, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is control and manipulation, or maybe they think they really do. I don't know. Be honest. I've done some trainings and stuff, but not dove into it real deep. But yeah, it's definitely in the area.
I mean, I just don't even know how, and I mean, that's terrifying to think that there's situations where women can't even get away from that part of it, let alone the addiction part of it.
Right.
Get away from this person who is controlling
Giving them
you.
drugs and giving them drugs to keep them in
Yeah.
their addiction. And
There's
yeah.
so many layers to what we're
Yes.
talking about today. It's
And
just
like you
wild.
said, the substance use, the mental health, and then you put in the trauma or the trafficking. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of women come through there that have a lot of trauma. And that might have caused them that where the use started, or family uses, and that plays into it too sometimes.
Or yeah, I can see trauma of growing up. Maybe maybe there was someone was molested or
Right,
something
or
of that
abuse,
nature,
yeah.
and abused, and then they turn to drugs or alcohol or whatever to try to cope with that, and it's just a big vicious circle.
It is. One of the questions I ask on the screen is past or current history of domestic violence or sexual abuse, and usually the answer is yes. And then like with mental health, almost always anxiety, depression, PTSD, bipolar are very common on the screen, but definitely anxiety and depression.
So what do you, as far as if somebody comes to your program, because you're talking about mental health and you're talking about addiction recovery and all of these things at one time. Do you jump right in and start working on all of this at once? Do you tackle one first and then the other? How does it work?
I would say, I'm not being one of the counselors, I'm not positive, but I'd say they'd probably tackle, not overwhelm them.
Sure.
Like they'd probably look at priority, because they have come in there, they might have a lot of needs and a lot of stuff they want to take care of or look at. So I would think the counselor would look at what's the most important, or ask them, what is your goal? Like person-centered, what would you like to
Let
work on
them
first?
choose.
Yeah, and
That
kind
makes
of focus
sense.
on them, and let them pick. And like as far as the mental health, like I said, there's individual groups and there's the actual groups, like, and then we also have our doctor that's been there like 29 years, and he works with them on the mental health meds as well.
Okay.
And every now and then we have a psychiatrist that works for Health Recovery Services, which we're also Health Recovery Services, I should mention, but
Okay.
she might come in and work with them as well if needed. So it's kind of a combination, but I don't think they want to be, sometimes they have a wall and don't want to talk about stuff, so that might be later on too.
Sure.
And they also work on the aftercare piece when the counselors do. So when they leave, they definitely have somewhere to go, whether it's outpatient, obviously, depending on the legal involvement again.
Yeah.
But they have to have some, even if it's doctor's appointments, because they don't always take care of themselves. And they might, when they come in, be like, I want to go to the dentist is a big one. I need a dentist
Yes.
appointment. I'm in pain. Or I haven't been to the doctor in forever. So they also work on all of that also, as far as what's their biggest priority.
Okay. And you mentioned that you accept patients that are 17. So obviously you're not a legal adult at 17. How does that work? Does a parent have to sign you in, or?
Well, I mean, if it's PO saying they need to go, the guardian does have to do paperwork.
Okay.
So it'd take a minute because there is a lot of paperwork for the guardian to sign before
Sure.
they're even admitted to the program, which I can get to them ahead of time. Usually they sign it with the PO, or I could just get it to the guardian. But if they're also transporting, they can do it that day, like that the client is admitted.
Okay.
But there is a lot of paperwork that the guardian does need to sign, and then including like if they need med change or something, the nurse would reach out to the guardian. Like we do work with the guardian.
Sure.
Close. Of course, like any questions, but yes, there's
So-
paperwork they would sign.
Everybody works together, right?
Right.
So when you complete the program, you mentioned this, but I just want everybody to know that it isn't, we're done with you, get out.
Right.
Because
no.
that would be the most terrifying thing ever. You know, I feel like if you were going through the program, you would feel like you're in a safe space and you're supported and all that. And the worst thing ever could be just to
No.
kick you out of the nest and say, here you go.
Yeah, sometimes they say they want to stay. Not always, but sometimes they're like, I want to stay.
I could see that.
But no, there's definitely the aftercare piece and like housing. But like in the area up there, at least, I know there's like a wait, like for HUD or Section 8, they're willing to work with them, but there's like a year wait or something last I heard, but that's where the sober living or transitional come into play.
Okay.
For appointments and stuff, but no, they definitely work with them. And like I said, I check in with them, or we tell them to call, hey, let us know how you're doing. But yeah, that's important. The continuum of care, definitely.
It would be. I mean, and I feel like that would be the most terrifying piece of thinking, oh my gosh, now I'm on my own to do this all myself, where I've been so supported.
Right, 'cause especially over time, I've had more call that are homeless, and that's
And then we get back into
increasing
the
in
cycle.
time, yeah. So definitely, but yeah, they definitely work with them on that. And then
Okay. Yeah, because the last thing we would want anybody to do is go through this and then
just put you out on the
just
street.
yeah,
No,
here you
that ain't gonna
go.
work, right?
Yeah, that sounds
No.
horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about payment. Obviously, what you do is not free. There's a cost to it.
Right.
How do women have to pay for this program? How does it work?
Not usually. We can work with all Ohio Medicaid. And if somebody has like Medicare and eligible, or if somebody's just eligible in general for Medicaid, then when they come in, I can apply with them, and they usually backdate the Medicaid.
Okay.
So we can screen anyone and look at possible funding and stuff, but no, usually they don't have to pay.
Because the whole goal
pocket.
is, I mean, the whole goal for everybody, the state included, is to get these people well.
Right. If you have a bunch of bills, you're probably not going to be able to do it. But yeah, we can look at like private insurance, any of that.
Okay, so there's definitely options.
Yes. Like I
Okay.
said, we can apply if they're like, hey, I'm eligible, I don't have an income, or I do have income, but I meet the requirements, then we could apply for Medicaid when they get there, because sometimes that could be a little process for them, especially if they don't have a phone.
That makes
Something like
sense.
that, yeah.
Okay. So what is the role, I mean, is there a role of family members or loved ones when somebody comes to your program? How important is that?
Obviously,
Or
it's
what would
important.
they
It depends
do?
on the individual situation, of course,
Sure.
because some have sober support, some might not. But they might call in and just leave a message for them, or they, like I said, the counselor makes phone calls with them to their family. So it's kind of an individual basis, I guess I would say.
Okay.
But there's also the mail that runs Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so a lot of them write letters to each other back and forth. Sometimes they're homesick and might not want, take a minute before they call their family because it makes it harder for them with being
Oh,
homesick.
guess
So
that
yeah,
makes
so it's like
sense.
a variety of different ways to look at that, I guess. But yeah,
So again, it's like the individual,
Yeah.
what they want.
and they might come to pick them up to take them to aftercare or to take them home and stuff like that. But usually they'll reach out and ask questions and if they have any.
I just wondered if the family isn't technically involved, I guess, in counseling sessions or anything like that.
Maybe to a degree, like I said, where I'm not
Okay.
a counselor and do those calls
Yeah.
with them, but they do the virtual phone calls.
Okay.
And I'm sure that kind of plays into it when they're meeting with their counselor. The counselors do more of that with the
Yeah.
virtual calls or Zoom calls with them.
Sounds like you all tailor the program to fit the individual.
Right, I think you need
That
to.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, individual basis.
Yeah, very good. All right. So, what would you like our viewers to know that we haven't talked about today?
So I was sitting there thinking about.
Yeah.
So we work with MAP medications, with Suboxone, Subutex, Vivitrol.
Okay, and explain that. I know what those mean, but I'd say a lot of people don't know what those mean.
I
What those
where
are.
they can be used like in place of like heroin or fentanyl, like the Suboxone. I don't know a ton about like the nursing piece and the meds, but it helps them. Some abuse it, but some it works really well for them.
Yeah, and I think the Vivitrol, isn't that the one where if you take alcohol or something in, it makes you
I
sick?
think so, and they
Yeah.
do the shot or the pill
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
So we can work with all of that. We have outpatient they might end up transferring to, or if it's local, we might keep it. Methadone, we're willing to look at, but that's new and there's a lot to that.
Okay.
So that's a process because they're still working on a policy and stuff, but that's something that we're gonna look at because one of our outpatients does work with methadone.
Okay.
But yeah, so we can look at that. We can look at women like in their first trimester, maybe a little bit further if they're local and like established with the local doctor.
Gotcha.
Or women who are just having a baby. If they do a screen and they're good to go and they send us clearance for a baby and mom, we could look at bringing them in like right after they got discharged from the hospital.
Okay. And that's a whole other issue of women having babies that are addicted.
Right. So if Children's Services on board and they have custody, then yeah, we can look at that. Or if they have Children's Services visits,
Okay.
then some we could look at. Usually, if like family can transport or Children's Services can come there, but we get calls like that. Like I have court-ordered Children's Services visits.
Gotcha. So again, you have to work with all of this.
Right. I'm trying to think what else. I think that covered most of it.
I think it's incredible what you're doing, what you all are doing. No wonder
Thank
you
you.
stay there for so long. I mean, it has to be very rewarding to, 'cause if you help one person, it has to be worth it, you know?
Right. Right. It is. It's nice when somebody calls in or you run into someone, which we can't like say anything to them, but they may talk to us first, and we'll like
Sure.
talk to them. But it's nice. Hey, I'm doing good, and this is how it's going, and it does happen.
Love that.
Yeah. Trying to think. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting to throw out there, but like I said, there's the website rwrpathens.wordpress.com because there's some pictures you can look at there,
Okay.
and then the Facebook page. I try to put pictures on there. RWRP Treatment Center. And then the agency cell 740-707-2052. Call or text that with questions. But yeah, I'm not thinking of anything else. I'm thinking, well, they can ask questions on there too. We have open beds now as far as availability.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We have open beds next week. Probably several open beds. And I try to post that on the RWRP Treatment Center Facebook page on a regular basis when
Okay.
we do have open beds.
Sure.
Yeah, but we usually do.
Make
have
sure there's
like,
room at the end.
with the holidays, we usually do have open beds.
Okay. Very good. So maybe now's the time. Maybe now's the time to call. And, and I was just sitting here thinking, don't think if you call the number or you text the number, somebody in a ninja suit's going to come get you or something. Like, it's okay to call and ask questions, right?
Right.
Like, someone isn't going to, like, come and steal you away and put you in a facility.
Right, you don't have to do a screen, or I'm not going to reach out to your PO or Children's Services without a release. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, like,
so,
you can
even if
feel
you
free to
report
ask
use
questions.
or like, yeah, that's not something it's confidentiality, so I wouldn't report anything. Sometimes they'll be like, hey, can you tell my PO I did do this screen? That's a little different. They gave verbal permission, but yeah, I would not
Yeah.
be reaching out. It's confidentiality without a release. You're not going to get in trouble because you called to ask some questions or explain your story.
Wouldn't you much rather someone just call and ask
Right.
questions or whatever? It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's going to admit you. So here's one for you. What if, I'm sure this happens, you get into the program and it's just not for you and whatever. Does that happen where people are like, this isn't the right time for me?
Yes, and we work with them to go somewhere else, or if they want to leave,
Okay.
we'll let them call for a sober ride, because we're in the middle of nowhere, and we don't want somebody just walking off the hill. So yes, we
Makes
will work
sense.
with, of course, it depends on legal involvement, what they do from there, but, yeah,
Right.
but if they want to
You're
go
not
to another
handcuffed to a
program.
bed somewhere.
Right, no.
Okay.
The doors are locked for safety, so nobody can just come in. If we see somebody sitting out there we didn't expect, we're gonna go out there and be like, what are you doing here?
Okay.
But no, it's where they want to go. I've heard of, somebody would call me and be like, this program won't let me call to go somewhere else. I'm like, who knows if it's true or not, but no, we're going
Right.
to work with them if that's
Sure.
not a good fit. And if
Okay.
somebody calls in and does a screen and we have to refer them out or something, then I'm going to give them numbers for other programs. Not just be like, no, you're not going to work here. No, I give them other numbers that might work for them.
Sure.
And another thing I just thought of, if you like to craft, they do crocheting and knitting, and the staff will teach you how if you don't know how.
Oh, that's fun.
We have diamond art, we have books, we have coloring books, we have virtual reality headsets. We have a Cricut, but not a lot of people know how to use that, the maker. But we have
Makes
Wii, Xbox. You do get to watch TV during downtime. People get their TV day. But yeah, if you like to craft, there's stuff like that. Trying to think
That's awesome.
yeah, that's kind of important. A lot of people
Like
to
summer
crochet
camp.
during group and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think Cheryl's you crochet, right?
Among other things.
Among other, yeah, she's all crafty and stuff. But I think a lot of times just having something to do with your hands is helpful.
Right, and then when you leave, you have that tool to use to keep busy.
Yes.
I'm one of those that likes to collect crafts, but don't do them. But I'd like
Love
to
it.
learn to crochet too someday. But no, then because that's important too when they leave to have that toolkit and have stuff to do, so they don't want to get overwhelmed, but want to keep somewhat busy.
I mean, I think if you're just having that something to do with your hands is important.
Right.
So, okay, well, very good. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. This has been really enlightening, and I know that you are very busy, and what you do is very important. So thank you for taking time to talk with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Feel free to reach out, even with just questions. It doesn't mean you got to do a screen. Just feel free to ask questions.
Yeah.
Family, anybody, POs, family, lawyers, anyone, just reach out.
That's the whole point, because the whole goal is to get you better,
All right.
no matter what. All right, the Women's Program Residential Treatment in Athens. There you go. And there's help for you out there if you need it or want it, or you know somebody that you think would be a good fit.
Right. Sometimes family or friends will just call and say, hey, I got some questions because I'm going to go talk to this person and see how it goes.
Yes.
And then I could send them the brochure and information to offer just in case they are decided it's time or they're willing.
Love that. Very good. Well, Sheri, thank you so much for hanging with us this
Thank
morning. It's been a delight talking with you, and you need to get back there and get some people well.
Right. My phones start ringing. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you when we see you.
Thanks.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank. rewarding those who serve.
From breaking news to heartwarming stories, the Telegram is your ticket to the latest buzz in town.
Read your daily dose of local headlines, sports, and entertainment and more in hand and on paper.
Get a print and digital subscription for only $7.95 per month. Delivered fresh every Wednesday and Saturday.
Visit thetelegramnews.com or call 740-286-3023 today.
Don't just read the news, be a part of it.
Did you know Jackson is home to a locally owned and operated full-service print shop? Zip Printing covers all your print, signage, and design needs. From business cards, booklets, and posters to yard signs, banners, screen-printed t-shirts, oversized signage, and more. We can help you or your business advertise and look good doing it. Zip Printing also offers logo design. Allow us to assist you in building or elevating your brand today. Zip Printing is located in the Stockmeister Plaza at 708 East Main Street in Jackson, Ohio. So stop in or give us a call at 740-286-3023.
All right, and we are back, and welcome back after the holiday season. It's been kind of wild. We haven't been here for a moment, so I think our good friend Pete Wilson is coming in just a second. We're going to do some news and catch up on what's been going on since you know, our break and all of that. There he is, actually. Adrian, you got saved. Come on over, Pete. And he just walked in the door, so I know that we haven't chatted with you in a little bit. So what's going on, Pete?
Okay, well, yeah, there's a few things that happened there. I mean, you might have been off there at 6 cents, but the news kept rolling.
That's right.
Right through the holidays, like it always does. But you know, we're going to start talking about, well, what's really probably the main conversation piece in Jackson, and that is the dismantling of the Memorial Building.
It's quite a spectacle, isn't it?
Exactly. Here is a couple photos from the weekend. The Bryn Mawr Construction of Jackson is doing the work. This is a shot that Jeremiah Shaver took Saturday from the back of the building. As you can see, a lot of it was down here, and they worked both Saturday and Sunday, actually. And we have another picture that I took on Sunday from the front. A lot of people passing by on Broadway, which is the front of the building, they knew the demolition was going on, and you could, you know, see it kind of from the side, but the front of the building was intact. Well, no more. That was a view on Sunday afternoon. It might not look like that now. I'm not sure. I've not been by when I came to work. It was dark. But anyway, I don't have a completion date on it. Obviously, after everything's knocked down, there's kind of a massive cleanup there that has to be done.
How does that make you feel, Pete? Does it make you sad, or does it?
I have mixed emotions.
I feel the same way.
I understand the need to. I understand the need to modernize. And I understand the nostalgia because, you know, I'm old enough, and a lot of people, probably 30s and up, have had connections with the Memorial Building, activities on there that have gone in there. In the auditorium, you know, that's where all the that's all the youth basketball and recreation,
Little League basketball,
dances and stay-at-home parties, and all that. Yeah, all that. One of the things I remember from my preteen years was big-time wrestling was there. I
had forgotten about that.
One of the most traumatic events of my childhood was, you know, they always have the big-time wrestling on television, and one of my heroes was Chief Crazy Horse.
Yes.
And he always had a little bit of trouble, but then if you made him mad, he went into the tomahawk chop, and he just took care of everybody.
Just chopping away, okay.
Well, when they have the wrestling matches, when they go out on tour, like they did in Jackson to the Memorial Building, you have top heroes against top villains, and somebody has to lose, and I saw Chief Crazy Horse lose, and it broke my heart.
Oh no!
Yes, it broke my heart. That was one of my big memories from the Memorial Building. Of course, some stay-at-home parties in there as well.
Yes.
That you know, that I attended, and you know, lots of other things too. Some of the organizations in town, you know, had big dances in there and so forth. I mean, as recently as last year, you know, there were, you know, dinners and fundraisers in there, and organizations went in there for baton practice and everything else. And as recently as the Apple Festival, of course, they had the big craft show
Sure.
in there for the very last time. So, like I say, the memorial building, it'll be gone soon. And I guess, you asked me how I feel about, because if you notice the social media, whenever we post something, you get a lot of both ways
Sure.
there. You got some and say, hey, listen, it had to happen. The building was old and all like that. And then you have others saying, well, we need to preserve our history. Why couldn't you just fix that up? I guess one of the things that kind of turned me for sure one way or the other was when they did an architectural analysis, and it would actually cost more to renovate and fix it up the way they need it to be than it would to start from scratch and with a new building.
Yeah, and then you're kind of, for lack of better words, lipsticking the pig. It's not set up the way that it needs to be set up if you're redoing the memorial building.
It's not so much the superstructure, even though they had some bricks that were deteriorating and like that. It's not so much that, it's the layout and the efficiency.
Right, it just wasn't conducive to what they need it for at this moment. So you understand, but it is a bittersweet situation.
It is,
for sure.
and before, they had a big analysis back in 2014, and it came down to the fact they didn't have the money anyway.
Yeah.
But the community sentiment was strong enough then that politically, it was not the thing to do back in 2014. And, it was 10 years, 11 years have
Sure.
passed, and it's a little different. You have a
Yeah.
younger generation that maybe has no connection with the memorial building at all. So, what's going to happen is as soon as they can get all the design working like that, and that has been done all along, they're going to put a new building on that site. It will actually be smaller, and this is a paradox. They'll still get more in it than what's in there now because of the fact that
Sure.
certain parts of it were unusable, at least the way that it was. But right now, the mayor and service director's office, which was about all that was left there, and their staffs, of course, they will return there. They're at the AmVets building just down the street right now. But you will have the auditor's office, which is down Walnut Street in the old county water department building. They will be coming back to what is going to be called the city building. That's what Mayor Randy Evans is calling it, at least right now. City Hall is what he's calling
Sure.
it. City Hall building.
Okay.
And so the auditor's office will come. The city council chambers, which is there in the police department building just down the street. It's just half a block down the street. It will move back to City Hall. And the utility office, which is in the police department building as well, facing Pearl Street. You walk in from Pearl Street, it will be in the City Hall as well. And they'll have a drive-through set up there. Their drive-through gets used heavily, so they will have a drive-through there
Okay.
I believe it will be on the side next to Mayu Brown Funeral Home.
So
There'll be no auditorium.
I know.
It'll be smaller, 2 floors though, with an elevator, handicapped accessible. That was always an issue.
Well, if you look at the steps, as you can see in the pictures that we showed, I mean, oh gosh, I've never counted them, but there's a lot of steps getting up into that, which makes it certainly not accessible for people. What will happen with those spaces in the police department building?
Well, that is a good question. I think Mayor Evans has kind of like a plan for what to do there. The police department perhaps could use more room.
I was gonna say maybe they need
that
more
building
room.
is newer, so I think that he has some ideas of what to do with that building and that space that he has not yet announced.
Okay.
But certainly there are some possibilities there because there's going to be space that is occupied now.
Yeah.
So the idea wasn't to move people out of that building. It was to get them together in one place,
Yeah.
consolidated.
Convenience sake.
Right. So, and right now, as I said, the mayor and service director's office is at the AmVets building. They lease that for a year. It could go longer if it needs to, and it probably will. So we'll be watching that. Adrian, do you have that video of go ahead and let's see that so we can see the action there. Jeremiah took his little boy to get a haircut, and he looked down the block, and oh my gosh, they're working. And so he took this video for us.
Okay.
Equipment. Now this is from the back of the building where the auditorium once was, and you can see it's not there anymore. one of the things that I haven't mentioned yet, we've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again in case people have forgotten this. One link with the past is that they have preserved, reclaimed limestone from the building that was in the memorial building that they hope to incorporate into the structure of the new building. And there'll probably be a plaque or something there, but it will actually be a connecting the old building with the new.
Love that.
So that, and that was a separate contract. That took a little bit of money. But one thing about it was with grant money that they got, with the help of the Jackson County Economic Development Partnership money, they had some money left over from one of their brownfield accounts, where they do demolition.
Sure.
And if you don't use it, you've got to give it back.
Yeah,
and
you lose it.
I
Yeah.
mean, Sam Brady and John Stabler did a whole lot with that, but they had some money, and they thought that this would be a way to help the city make sure that they had enough money to do two big projects: a demolition project / reclamation limestone, and then, of course, the rebuild.
Yeah.
And between the grants and the fact that the city saved some money all along because they knew that the memorial building would either have to be fixed up or replaced, and, of course, the city's income tax, which they can use, it's affordable. It wasn't affordable in the past, but it's affordable now. So it's not like they're breaking the bank
Sure.
or sacrificing something else to be able to do this building.
No, it's like kind of like all the pieces fell together and it was time.
Yes, the pieces are falling apart now, but they did, you're right, they did fall together. And so that's going on right now. I know that Mayor Evans, the last time I talked to him, said they're doing design work now. I'm not sure it'll be like they're done with the demolition, the next day they'll start building. That won't happen, of course. They got to have contracts and all like that. But he wants to move as soon as possible.
Okay.
And I think he would like to have a building done, if they can start early in this year, by the end of the year. And, that's always subject to a lot of variables. All right, another big story to talk about. There wasn't a lot of fanfare. It happened quietly, but it is so important. We have a new judge in Jackson County.
Yes.
And that is Randy H. Dupree. There is Randy right there. Randy got a lot of credit for his work as Jackson County prosecutor since he took that position in 2023. He was appointed to replace Justin Lovett, who took a new job with state government in the middle of his term. Randy, who had been the assistant prosecutor in Gallia County, sought that position. He got the appointment from the Republican Party. He was elected to a 4-year term in 2024. And when the opportunity came up to run through municipal court judge last year, because, of course, one of the saddest stories of 2025 is the death of the beloved Judge Mark Music, Randy decided to run for judge. He had run for probate juvenile judge against Justin Skaggs and lost back in 2020. And so he has aspired to be a judgeship. He said that in an interview with Jeremiah Shaver. But the 6-year term for the municipal court judge starts on January 1st. So, we had this ceremony, Randy with Sheriff Frazier, just, a week or so before he took over as the judge. And so that's what he's doing right now. In the interview, he didn't foresee a lot of changes. We'll see how that works out. I'm sure he'll be working with the staff on transition and all like that. But he does have some ideas about some diversion programs and some other things for some minor offenses, to try to help people out but still steer them the right way. So we'll see what happens there. But I know when the commissioners met on the transition, with Randy resigning, he turned in his resignation letter to the commissioners. Commissioner John Hensler, who is the president of the commissioners, made it a point to praise Randy for his work as prosecutor. I know firsthand, just from as far away as I sit from what he does, that he worked very hard in that position.
Yes.
Many hours.
Agreed.
And, very active in court. He was right on the front lines of doing a lot of the work and deserves a ton of credit for his performance there and deserved this opportunity to move into a position that he has aspired to. So good news for him. In connection with him becoming a municipal court judge, obviously that opens up.
Where'd the prosecutor
That opens
office
up
go?
that opens up the prosecutor position. And it looks like I know that the Jackson County Republican Party will be meeting very soon. They are about to announce a date for that meeting. I've not received it yet, but I know it's coming. I've been told to look for it. They will meet to pick an interim prosecutor. Now, by state law, there has to be somebody being the prosecutor. There can't be any gap, even though it might only be a week or so. So, on December the 30th, the commissioners met when they accepted Randy Dupree's resignation. They appointed Trent Douthit to be the acting prosecutor.
Gotcha.
And Trent has not been a Jackson resident for so long, but he has Jackson roots. He was born in Jackson. Here's that picture. That is Trent in the middle. He is the third from the right there. I'll just name the people in the picture if folks in TV land don't know everybody. From the left, Commissioner John Hensler, Commissioner Paul Haller. Then you have our new acting prosecutor, Trent Douthit. You have Randy Dupree there, who is handing over the reins, at least temporarily, to Trent. And then you have Commissioner Donnie Willis there on the far right. Now, the middle-aged people and up in Jackson know about Trent Douthit's connections, not just the people who went to school with him there when he graduated.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. You're in that era.
Yeah, he's a year older than me.
You're older than me. Okay. Yep. Well, Trent is the son of the late Judge Marshall Bud Douthit.
Right.
He was a municipal court judge and a lawyer in Jackson for many years. And the late Betty Douthit, his mother, she was very active in community affairs, was on the school board, was the president, I believe, one term. I remember that. So very well-known parents there. They both passed now. But Trent grew up in Jackson, went to the United States Naval Academy, which is, not anyone can just measure up there. He was in private practice, doing a lot of litigation work, he told me, in Cincinnati. But then he took a job with the U.S. State Department. This was so important. Worked overseas.
He's done some crazy cool stuff.
Right, 8 or 9 countries, including, I think it was in the Middle East some. Not exactly conducive to the family life you might want, even though it's an important and prestigious job. And after he reached the period where he could retire from that, even though he's still a young man, he did that, came back to Jackson. For a while, he was president of A.J. Stockmeister Incorporated here. He worked here. I didn't know he had that title, but it was not a lawyer job. It was a supervisory administrative job, and he had that here. And then this opportunity came up. Even though his background is not in criminal law, he obviously is a very accomplished attorney and a smart man, and he is eager to try this. He knows it's an important job. He has a lot of respect for what Randy did just in the short time, he's working with Randy on transition. And that's what he's doing right now. He is the acting prosecutor. He's working on the staff situation there too. The Jackson County Republican Party's Central Committee, because Randy was a Republican, has the responsibility to appoint someone to serve on an interim basis. Now, I'm saying this without checking it first, but because of the timing, the election in 2024 and it coming before 2026 election, I think that at the end of this year, that position will have to be on the ballot for the unexpired term running through 2027 and 2028. I think.
Okay.
Now, I could be wrong, but
election law, man.
whoever gets the appointment, and I guess I should say this, right now, nobody knows of anyone else who is aspiring to be prosecutor. They could have stepped forward when the commissioners had to do their acting, but nobody did. And, in the legal community, it's not that big. There was somebody could step up who just, for whatever reason, changed their mind, and Trent Douthit could have some competition for that position, but it's not expected, at least right now. And he is, in fact, he just didn't take this job to help the county out or whatever. He would like to remain as the prosecutor and give that a try. And so when that announcement comes, when they have that meeting, they will try to have it as soon as possible. By state law, there has to be, and I don't know why this is, there has to be a 5-day gap between when a position comes open and when you announce a meeting. And of course, they will try to have that meeting as quickly as possible. And then there has to be a time where, a short time where there is notice out so people know that it's open. So it's probably going to be, I'm guessing, next week, that meeting, but
Okay.
we will see.
A lot of transition going on.
Right. Okay, another thing that happened that we want to talk about, this was important too. The Jackson County Commissioners will soon have a new home. They haven't quite moved into it, but on December the 30th, this was just after, they accepted Randy Dupree's resignation and appointed Trent as the acting prosecutor. They had a ribbon cutting and open house at the old health department meeting. That's old health department building. We'll probably call
Yes.
it that for a while because that's what it's been since it was built in the mid-'70s.
Well, that was what it was built for, so it's always going to be
Right,
that,
and
no matter what.
The
to
health
people.
department has gone to bigger spaces out there on Twin Oaks Drive across the Holzer Hospital. So that opened up the bottom floor, and the commissioners were basically visitors. I'm not sure what their arrangement was with JFS, but they were in there temporarily
Yes.
after they sold, the place on Portsmouth Street, and the elections board there moved with them. They are moving over to 200 East Main Street as soon as possible. They're moving in now, but they are not quite operating from there. We don't want to confuse anybody.
Okay.
They're still meeting and operating for the most part from 25 East South Street, the JFS building. You go in the back door there, and their office is just down the corridor there. But Paul Haller, who is kind of in charge of spearheading the transition project, he says it hopes it will be soon, within several weeks.
Okay.
That they'll be in there. That's where they'll have their meetings, where they'll operate
exciting.
from. They're real excited about having their own space and more space. They will be on the first floor. The EMA, the Emergency
Yes.
Management Agency office, and the 911 Dispatching Center will remain on the top floor. So commissioners will soon be there. Put that picture back up of the flag there, Adrian, because that was really the part 2 of this story. There is a
Okay.
new Jackson County flag.
Did we have a county flag
We
before?
did.
We did?
It's in the commissioner's office, and you didn't hear much about it, but it was very attractive, I thought, but it was had a white and yellow background with cattails, and I'm not sure why we had that, whether it was Lake Catherine or Swamp or whatever.
Didn't know that was a thing.
But I think back when the state celebrated its bicentennial in 2003, they wanted every county to at least have a flag. Jackson didn't have one. The city of Jackson had a flag a long time ago, I'm told, but there was no county flag. So they came up with
Interesting.
one, and it is actually displayed behind the commissioner's desk there in the JFS building. But this is the new county flag, and it is, you got to admit, it's pretty attractive there. It looks good, and they have incorporated symbols that connect with Jackson County. You have some of the bas reliefs from the marquee.
Yeah.
People probably recognize that. You have an iron furnace there. You have the Great Seal of Ohio Hills there as well. You've got the apple. So they unveiled this flag during the open house, and it will be the new official county flag.
Cool.
Another thing that happened that was not so good of a thing was a really destructive fire in Franklin Township that,
no.
that occurred, on December the 30th. And a mobile home that was occupied by the Tasha Smith family was destroyed. And so that family is, out of their home. They lost
no.
everything. They were away in Texas when this happened. And it's tragic because Tasha, her boyfriend, and their 2 children were thinking of relocating to Texas. They were down there trying to buy property. They hadn't moved anything down there yet. I'm not sure that they were buying property or buying a mobile home or a house. I'm not sure which, but they hadn't moved anything, and then they lost everything before they could move it. And they were renting. So that was owned by the Ostrander family. The Ostrander brothers owned that property, but it was a complete loss. The Jackson Fire Department was there. Kayla Spires, who is a close friend of the family, she describes herself as a kind of a family member who isn't a member of the family. She has started a GoFundMe account that you
Okay.
can access through the Uratham Jackson Facebook page or her own Facebook page. You can also, of course,
Okay.
if you're familiar, know how to do it, you can go to the GoFundMe page and find
Just
the link
find-
for
find
that.
it,
But
yeah.
they did lose everything in that.
Oh, my goodness.
We had a story there in the paper on last Saturday, that has some clothing sizes and like that, but they did lose everything. And one other thing that happened, that was tragic as well. Injuries involved, but thankfully no deaths. There was a crash just north of Hamden involving a pickup truck and an Amish horse and buggy. And in this case, this happened on Saturday morning, the Saturday morning after Christmas, and an Amish buggy was heading north on 93, just north of Hamden, and the pickup truck was behind it and was passing. As it began to pass, the Amish buggy took a left into a side road there.
So it just pulled out in front of
It pulled out in front of the truck. They considered the Amish buggy to be, or the driver of the Amish buggy to be at fault. It was a 17-year-old girl.
Oh my goodness.
And they said that the driver of the Amish buggy suffered minor injuries. 2 other girls that were in the Amish buggy were taken to Holzer Medical Center Hospital with more serious injuries, although they were not thought to be life-threatening. I don't know about the horse.
Ooh,
The
that could
pickup
be-
driver was not injured, but the Jackson Post of the Highway Patrol investigated that, and they cited the female driver of the buggy with failure to yield the right-of-way, and they also said that the driver, the 17-year-old driver, was suspected to be under the influence of alcohol at the time.
Okay.
And she refused a blood test, so they'll have to go through that process. Now, she's 17. This is in Vinton County, so I presume that's a juvenile court thing. But she was not immediately charged with that because they could not do the testing. But the patrol put it in their report that is suspected alcohol influence while she was
my.
driving.
All righty
And
then.
that took place, looking for the time here, that took place, oh my gosh, just before midnight, so it's dark.
That could have been way worse.
It certainly could have been.
Okay.
So that's a quick catch up, and believe it or not, I have other things I didn't have time for.
Well, Pete, thank you so much.
We'll do some more catch up
Yeah,
tomorrow.
it's great to be back and catch up with you on the news and find out what's been going on. So,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Always something, right?
Always something.
Right.
All right. Well, everyone, have a wonderful day. And at least we have some warmer temperatures coming up this week. So we'll look forward to that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 50s.
Exactly. And
Sounds
we will,
good right now.
Yeah,
50s sound good
I'll
in
take
January.
it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. And we will be right back here tomorrow. So have a great day, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.